Hi, wish you are doing well. Welcome to Teach English with Passion. We gonna present series of videos giving teachers insights into ELT, English language teaching. Each video deals with a specific topic and it's out of two parts, a theoretical part and a practical part. In the second part of the video, we will give concrete examples of how to design creative activities which suit every lesson, making teaching and learning English more fun and interactive. So don't go anywhere, keep watching.
This is episode 2 of a 3-part video series about teaching listening. In the first video, we have talked about the pre-listening phase, giving sample activities connected to a listening skills lesson from the Algerian curriculum. In this video, we gonna explore the second phase, which is the listening phase, also known as during or while listening. So, let's get started. The listening phase is considered as the second stage in any listening skills lesson. It refers to the time when learners perform a number of activities while they are listening to the audio material. While listening activities aim at developing many listening sub-skills, including listening for gist, listening for specific information, listening for details, and listening for attitude. Now, I gonna explain briefly the aforementioned listening sub-skills. The first one is listening for gist. Learners here listen to get the general idea or the topic of the listening material. So, the focus is on the overall meaning rather than on details. The second listening sub-skill is listening for specific information. It implies focusing on specific parts of the audio material to get particular pieces of information. So, here there is a kind of selection in the listening process. The learner concentrates on given parts of the audio material and he neglects the other parts that are not really relevant to the questions given. Third, listening for details. It means listening very closely, paying attention to all the words and trying to understand as much information as possible, making connections between the ideas expressed. At this level, learners can't afford to ignore anything because any information can be necessary for completing the tasks. The last listening sub-skill is listening for attitude. It refers to listening to get the speaker's point of view or opinions about the topic being discussed. Learners listen to identify what does the speaker think or how does feel about a given topic. Now, let's explore some while listening activities that can be included within any listening skills lesson. As a teacher, you can design a variety of during listening activities. Just keep in mind that the activities match the listening material and they don't go beyond your learner's level. Here is a list of some activities. What is the topic of the passage? What are the speakers talking about? What is the problem they talking about? These activities are related to listening for gist. For a more detailed listening, you can design the following activities: MCQs, multiple choice questions, i.e. learners are asked to listen and choose the right answer from multi-answer given options. True, false statements. Learners listen to identify whether the information stated is true or false according to the listening material. Form, chart completion. Learners listen to complete a table, for example, with information stated in the listening material. Other activities can include gap filling or putting ideas in the order they appear in the listening material, etc., etc. Time for practice. In this part, we will continue working on the same lesson we have dealt with in the previous video. The lesson is a listening skills lesson from the Algerian curriculum Unit 2, Communication, the press for first-year high school learners. Still working on the same audio material found on the textbook. So, let's see what during listening activities you can design for this lesson. Note here that before you set learners to do the activities suggested, you should prepare them for this phase. For example, you can say, "Okay class, now you are going to listen to a conversation between two people, listen and tell me what they are talking about." This would be the first activity meant for listening to get the general idea. As learners discover the topic of the listening material, you direct their attention to the second activity in which they are asked to listen and choose the right answer. At the end of this activity, learners interact with their teacher to check their answers. The last activity is meant for a more detailed listening. It's a chart completion activity. Learners listen carefully and fill the table with the appropriate information, then they interact with the teacher to check their answers. At last, I would love to share with you these helpful tips related to the listening phase. They are really useful to improve learners' performance during class, making a listening lesson less frustrating and more interactive. Tip number 1, keep in mind that listening is done for a purpose. Don't ask learners just to listen. They should listen and perform a given task. Second, in designing during listening activities, make sure to vary the types of tasks and adjust their level of difficulty to match your learners' level and abilities. Third, before setting learners to do a given task, consider allowing them to prepare for the task by looking at the questions before listening. They can take few minutes to read the task before you play the audio material. The last tip, show a kind of flexibility in dealing with the audio material, especially when you notice that learners have difficulties in obtaining a given information. So, you can just split the listening material into parts. You can play and pause to help learners complete the tasks given. That's all for today. Hopefully you find this video helpful and useful. If you have any questions, suggestions, any topics or lessons you want me deal with, leave a comment below. If you like the content of the video, subscribe now and share the video with your colleagues. Take care, bye.